Hello and welcome back to the Rad Nauseam YouTube channel. Today we've got for you our weekly roundup. For this episode we're going to be focusing on the event to end all events, so you won't see any of the weekly results from the lead up to the tournament. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Nathan and today I'm joined by Nick and Jack, aka Capers and Cull. How are you guys feeling after a few days of relaxation and reflection?
I'm feeling good. We got home late on a Monday night after a long, grueling day in the airport. Bunch of delays, but played a bit more Magic. So after 5 full days of Magic in a row, I'm tired it out, but feeling good.
Yeah, I was a bit tired on the Tuesday, but I'm kind of really excited to get back into weeklies and back into Magic. It's just got me so motivated to play more Magic and talk about more Magic as well. So let's waste no time. So our day one event was the Invitational. This was a culmination of a number of Invitational qualifier events that were held all across the country. They all fed into this single Invitational event. This was a sweet event to watch. Jack, from a spectator's point of view, what did you think of it?
Yeah, it was good. I watched a fair few of the rounds in between Mystery Booster 2 drafts, and I watched a bit of the top 8. It was cool seeing a bunch of decks that covered in the roundup and I hadn't seen in person before, kind of playing out. Like kind of spotting certain decks and unique decks, and obviously watching Nathan here, our boy himself, crush it.
Oh boy. Yeah, Nathan, you made it. Top 4. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think this event was super sweet. From like the point of view of an events host, so we do a little bit of tournament hosting ourselves. I think the feeder system that this sort of encouraged just really got a lot of people attending events, and it gave us like a lot of ability to practice, not necessarily for high stakes, but just consistent comp REL events, basically like every weekend in the lead up to the Invitational and to the whole event itself. It was like a really good practice circuit, and I think anyone who was like really interested in trying to see how they would do at the event had a really good run up at it. And the actual event itself was great. Like, got to play against the best players in Australia. Got to see what you'd sort of be in for the main event. I know some people swap decks here and there. It was like whatever, but yeah, it was a lot of fun and a pretty cool achievement to make it to the top 8 and then to absolutely crush Jim Wilkes in the quarterfinals to secure my semi-final spot, to then get ultimately absolutely crushed by Richard on Storm. What a horrible matchup, but yeah, it was a good event, a lot of fun.
Yeah, and for those that aren't up to date with the event, our top 8 was 2 Storm, 2 Grixis, Nathan on Play on Walks, Blue Moon, Breach, Bron, and Lewis Breach, and our finals were 2 Victorians from the Plenty of Games dojo. That was Richard and Brennan was able to take out the entire event. So a big congratulations to Brennan and to 3 Victorian players making the top 4. Feels very good.
Yeah, it was sweet. Like the amount of practice that everyone was putting in at POG in the lead up to the event to end all events, it was not surprising to see a good Victorian show out. And yeah, look, Storm is a hell of a deck, and yeah, it proves here that Storm isn't actually undefeatable because it lost.
Yes,
Storm.
It did. It did lose to Storm. Yes.
Half the top 8 was Storm, if you really look at it.
True.
If you squint hard enough, for sure.
Yeah. It's all Storm all the way down. All right, let's talk about the main event now. The main event for the event to end all events had 310 players. Our top 8 was Grixis, Storm, Grixis, Bots, Mono Green Lands, Storm, and Blue Moon. So still 2 Storm, 2 Grixis. We also now have 2 Bots in there as well. But ultimately, Grixis was able to take it down. Congrats to Matt and Richard on the 2nd place. Yeah, a great event. A huge amount of players in one room, the most I've ever seen, and a really well-run event. I'm hearing great stories. A bunch of us were able to play over multiple days. Jack, what did you think of it, making day 2 yourself?
It was fun. I went in with very low expectations with them playing lands, but just overall. And I made day 2 and had a positive result overall at 7.5. But it was sweet. It was good to play across the 2 days and get a bit of rest in between. It was good to play against so many different decks. My kind of tournament path was kind of spread across a few different archetypes. There was a bit of aggro, a bit of mid-range, combo, control. I faced it all. And yeah, the top 8 looks about right to what I would have expected. I think the Grixis, Storm, and Bots decks, I expected kind of 1 or 2 of each at least in the top 8. I think there's like a big delta between those decks and the next decks in the format, but those 3 are the kind of top spots. But no, it was a great event. It was very well run, very organized. The judges were doing the Lord's work day in, day out. And yeah, and I had great events all days as well. Had loads of fun. No complaints on my end.
No, I think you said it was a top 8 you'd expect, but I don't know, Nathan. There's this one I'm picking out there that maybe shouldn't be in there.
Blue Moon's pretty
No,
good.
no.
Look, shout out to the mono green lands.
Yeah, go Beckett.
That's a sweet
Beckett
list.
crushed it. Beckett
Look,
had
I-
barely any interaction in the main deck. He was just
zero
jamming through it,
removal
asking the
spells.
questions.
Yeah, 0 removal spells.
There was a Presagio in the main and a few artifact hate in the side, and he was just asking, "Can you stop me?" And a lot of people couldn't. It looks like.
Yeah, the question he's asking is, do you want to go to time?
Haha.
Crickets.
I'll put a sound effect
No,
after that.
the lands deck, like I know we give lands a lot of shit. Well, I know I do. But I feel like it's genuinely like well enough positioned in the meta that if you have the correct opponents, you can get there. I don't think it's a deck that can get there without a little bit of luck. But I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, it's mono green lands.
And how about yourself? How'd you go in the event, Nathan?
I had a pretty interesting start. Got paired into Mr. Clift in round 1, and we went to time. Sadly, it was like a really, really sweet back and forth game. I was playing against Grixis, and then it just took a long amount of time. But then after that, I went undefeated for 5 rounds in a row. It was feeling really good. And then I got paired into Mr. Thomas Bot, and that was my first loss of the event, and was one that was like kind of frustrating because I won game 1, which is what you're not supposed to do, and then lost game 2 and then 3. So it was a bit frustrating, and then I versed another really sweet Just Guy Time Vault deck, which gave me my second loss for the tournament. But then running back on day 2, went undefeated all the way to my win and in against Volti, which was on another artifact deck. I managed to beat Volti during the Invitational, and I felt like pretty confident going in, but it was just not meant to be. It was a super sweet game 1 we played, and then game 2 just didn't really manage to put anything together, and I lost my winning in. But yeah, it's cool that like I'm proud that Volti managed to make top 8 there. That's a super sweet achievement. But look, all I'm saying is I didn't lose to any Grixis players on the weekend. If I had won that, I don't know. Feel like
Win-a-Lotus?
Nah, would have lost to a Storm player. But I don't know. I think I maybe had a shot to make top 4, but it is what it is. Didn't work out that way, and yeah, it's the Walks deck's super sweet at the moment. I think it's very strong and doesn't have a lot of bad matchups, except for obviously Bots and Storm. But there are probably some points on the horizon for those guys, so we'll see. What about you, Nick?
Me?
I hear you might have done a bit of damage.
Yeah, no one was ready for
Brought
it. I would sit across from my opponent and I'd place down my deck list. We'd exchange them, and their hand would shoot straight up as they started reading through it. It was great. Nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody knew how I was winning, and yeah, I had a great time. I was able to bring a deck of my own creation in Bant Food. And a lot of people they weren't ready for it, you know. And I was able to convert to day 2. But there is already an entire vlog video on our YouTube channel that you can go check out where where I really talk about the deck and every match I played. So yeah, go and take a look at that. That's what you want to watch. But yeah, overall the event was great. 310 players. I think it's the biggest Highlander event we've had ever, and probably one of the biggest Magic events we've had in a very, very long time. So shout out to Pat for hosting that event. And also shout out to those that didn't make day 2. If you were unlucky enough to miss day 2, you were able to play in the Sunday Showdown, where we had 100 players. Now this Sunday Showdown, the top 8 was Grixis, Bant Academy, Lands, Storm, Nadu, Storm, Grixis, and Grixis. So very similar to the top 8 of the main event. And then they were able to top 4 split across Grixis, Bant Academy, Lands, and Storm. Congratulations to all 4 of you for walking away with a top 4 split of what I imagine was just a bunch of reserve list cards. And none of us actually played in this event. All of us made day 2. But Jack, a couple of people in the team made day 2. Do you have any information, on the Sunday Showdown?
I don't have too much information besides the top 4 split. Everyone I talked to had a great time. Either they weren't able to make day 2, or they had a change of heart after day 1 of the big event and thought, I want to run this event instead. No, it's a good looking set of stats. I've looked through the melee for it. Looks good. And once again, we got at least 2 Storm and at least 2 Grixis. I guess the bots players were all in day 2. I think they had the highest conversion, so that they were all busy. But the Storm and Grixis menaces still going through. And Lands.
Lands again.
Another one.
I think it's pretty crazy that if you were in like playing day 2 and you were like 5-3, you should definitely have dropped to play in this event, because the pricing was ridiculous. They were just like giving away like boxes of Final Fantasy and stuff. Yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, I was trying to make it to the top 8, but it definitely bummed I got $60 instead of getting to run it back in this event. But yeah,
the door prizes were crazy.
The door prizes were crazy. Shout out again to Pat.
Yeah.
Like, he just absolutely set his wallet on fire for this event, for the community and for the format. It's absolutely incredible. And yeah, shout out again, Pat. Shout out Isaac.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone as well that also, came up to us around the time and spoke to us about our content and our videos and Magic. It was, a great time getting to meet everybody that we've spoken to on the Discord or in the YouTube comments. So big respect there. Now we're going to move on to a kind of a different section. I got a couple of questions for you boys, just about the meta and, the main event. So, Nathan, what deck did you think would perform in the main event, but you didn't see it all at the top tables?
It's a good question. So, like, I thought I would be playing against more Blue Moon, like the Blue-Red Moon version, and I just didn't play against it at all. I played against the Blue-Black one, which I had a lot of practice with. Shout out Kyle, like, he was whooping my butt on that like that deck for a long time. So I had a lot of practice against those ones, but I didn't see any of the Blue-Red ones. And like, obviously it's placing well. I just managed to dodge it because I imagine it's one of the harder matchups, so I haven't actually got to practice against it. So pretty grateful that I didn't get to play against that deck. But yeah, it was like very surprised. I saw so many Jund opponents, saw so many Grixis opponents, and sadly bots opponents. But yeah, it's not a matchup that I got to the pleasure of getting my ass handed to me.
What about you, Jack?
What deck did I think would perform but didn't as much?
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a Mardu Cabal in the room, which did some of the greatest cooking and deck adjustment I've ever seen in the last 24 hours before the event. I don't think they managed to put up as great of results as they wanted to, but I think that deck was sweet, like very well crafted towards the meta. I was crafted the night before, even better, after they saw the Invitational. But a bunch of decks up there that I'm also glad that I didn't expect but did good. There's a Rakdos list in 10th, and there was a few Breach Bomb players putting up results. There's Eldrazi up there. There's also a Grixis Wheels control deck up in like the top 16 and everything. There's a bunch of cool decks I didn't expect at the same time.
All right, moving on to the next question. Nathan, what deck were you surprised to see overperform or perform really well? Now, hard mode, not lands. You can't use lands as your answer. You have to use a different answer.
Look, I knew bots was going to be hard, but I guess like in the lead up to the event, I hadn't really played against it. I knew in conversation that it was a strong deck, but I didn't quite catch on until sort of the last few days leading up to the event how strong it was when I was practicing against Trent. Shout out again, Trent, and the bots people for helping me sort of get my head around that matchup. But that deck was so much stronger than I was expecting it to be. It's actually absurd. Like you think like a turn, like obviously Storm does its thing with a Tezzeret and a Mana Vault, but if they're not tinkering it, it is nowhere near as terrifying as what bots can do. And I think that deck is is pretty heinous.
Yeah, I agree. Bots is really powerful. There's like some play patterns there with like your turn 1 Mana Vault, play Tezzeret, untap Mana Vault, play Scrolling Crawler. And you might say, well, that's Christmas Happy Land, but that is exactly what happened to me in my day 2. They just played their whole hand out and they're left with this huge creature, and you feel kind of bad playing out your little Gilded Goose like some freak. But yeah, bots is a good deck.
Yeah, my opponent played a Mana Vault Tezzeret thing, and I was just like, okay, I'll ponder. Okay, I'm dead.
Yep.
It's like what are we doing?
What are we doing? What about you, Cull? Was there any deck you were surprised to see overperform or perform really well?
I actually didn't think Blue Moon would do as well as it did. I know it shows up in like Canberra and stuff. And there's the odd one in Melbourne, but I think there was like one in the top 8, and then 1 or 2 in the top 16 as well. The deck's good. I know. I think there's more pilots that were putting up big results with it than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
I dodged it all of day 1. I felt great about myself, and then round 1 or round 9 of day 2, I got my lands turned into basics, to mountains and islands, and then back to it was a mess. That deck's really good, but I didn't expect it to do as well as it did.
Agreed. Yeah, the deck's really strong. I think for me, the deck I was kind of surprised to see perform really well. I obviously knew it was going to perform well, but I didn't know how it would go into like the entire national scene. I'm really glad that Storm was able to convert. I had this kind of inkling, like this feeling in the back of my head, like maybe these Grixis players, all of these bus stop players come in and they start whipping around the Storm players from Victoria. But no, that wasn't the case. I think Richard and Brennan didn't lose at all that much. It was very, very low, especially Richard, all the way through from the Invitational all the way through to the main event. He didn't lose many games, didn't lose many matches, and made his way all up to second. So I know the deck was really good, probably quite underpointed, but I am glad to see that it was able to convert, and that it seems the entire country doesn't know how to sideboard against Storm, not just Victoria. So that was a little bit of a vindicating feeling for me.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. The propaganda around Storm being like in a fine place when the last points came around, where they were like, yeah, we're not really targeting Storm because having Storm in the meta is fine or whatever, and we're all kind of like, no, you really need to look into this, facetiously asking if there were going to be any emergency pointings. But the deck did really well, and it ultimately didn't quite get there. I think you play that best of 3 back 2 or 3 more times, and I think Richard takes it almost every time. So it's just, well played to Judas, but I think he got a little bit lucky. But he played it out of his mind.
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
But like not to take anything away from him, but that matchup is not 50-50, and it takes one of the absolute best pilots in Australia playing Grixis to win. So yeah,
I agree. Storm is super powerful, so excited to see what happens on the next points update as well. I think a quick question for you guys is, what do you want to see the points update look like coming up now? Is there a meta that you want to see in December that we might be able to, to look at via points updates?
I think I'd be taking a bit of a small sledgehammer, not a ridiculously big sledgehammer, but a small sledgehammer to the top 3 decks there, the Grixis, the bots, and the Storm decks. I think you can do a few overlapping points between Storm and bots, or Grixis and Storm, or what have you, if you want to work a little bit funny. But I think hitting those 3 to kind of crush the gap between those and the next best decks is probably something I'd like to see. You could do a few fancy D points here and there, but I think starting with kind of knocking those ones down a peg is where I'd like to see us go.
A bit counterintuitive because for me, the Walks deck, basically its success is owed to the amount of cards that are unpointed that it can sort of get away with playing in its deck. But I would genuinely like to see like plus 20 points added to the format just to like really shake things up. You could add a bunch of D pointings in there also for things that haven't seen play for a while, but just like fundamentally change what's sort of being played, make people make harder decisions when it comes to deck building. And yeah, I think that would help with a lot of diversity. Cards like Deadpool need to be pointed. Baraglyph could arguably be pointed. There's 3 points like Tezzeret, Mana Vault, Lotus, probably Urza's Saga, Ragavan probably. Just like throw 10, 15 points in at a minimum and see what happens.
It would be interesting. I think if there was an event like this next year and we could walk into it and the top 8 looked, different, I think that would probably be like cool and interesting. I feel like if we were to walk back into next year and it was the same top 8 of like Grixis and Storm and bots, it'd feel like maybe we were being a bit too light-handed with pointings. But yeah, I agree. I think Deadpool is a really strong, powerful card that should have been pointed, but now we have the opportunity to do it. And I think everybody was kind of, at least for me, when I was playing against anybody in that Grixis color or any red-black color, I was just thinking about, where is Deadpool? How long till Deadpool gets here? How am I going to beat Deadpool? That card is super strong. And Baraglyph, there are some aggro players I spoke to over the weekend that, were telling me that they really just like fear Baraglyph. They have to claim the Firstborn and cards like that in their sideboard just for Baraglyph because they just can't go around a card like that. Yeah, so I'd like to see a card like that get pointed. But overall, the Storm bots Grixis, I think just, giving each of those decks a bit more than a slap on the wrist and seeing how the meta shakes out from there could be interesting. And I'm very excited to see what happens in the next points update. I'd love to see, more changes and then reel back on those changes if they're, really, really bad, then to see a little small change of each deck and then have to deal with it for another 3 or 4 months. So yeah, should be interesting from the committee. I'm really excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm of the position that winding back points changes is fine. I'd rather see the committee try things, have them not work, and then wind them back, or adjust changes elsewhere to see if they can make it make sense, rather than just not really actively pointing things. I think there's a difference between letting the meta shake out and like understanding that there are problematic cards that people aren't enjoying playing against. At the end of the day, it is a casual format, and the community is the one playing it. So would like to see less conservative changes, more having a go.
Free gambles somehow.
Put Uro to 1.
I
want to play Uro
one.
Walks. That sounds fun.
Uro and Gush should equal 3 for some Mystic Sanctuary fun.
That could be fun. I, for one, don't want to play against Uro Walks, but I can see it just sounds like a nightmare. Yeah.
It gains tree life. It's like a food.
Yeah, it's just a growth spiral.
So they said about Time Walk.
It's true.
Explore.
Yep.
Yeah. Get your ramp cards straight, buddy.
Yep. What happens if I ang my Uro? Who's up anging the Uro? I'm going to run us to the outro.
Run quickly.
If you enjoyed this content, we have lots more on our YouTube channel. We have videos outlining where you can play Highlander, what Highlander is. We even have live Highlander videos as well. There's even some CDH in there and a vlog as well. So feel free to jump in, take a look at the video. And if you enjoyed this content, feel free to give this video a like and give us a subscribe. It does help us a lot and it goes a long way. And then someone else can say goodbye.
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 Okay.
You can leave that in.
Yep. Great.